You're watching Strictly Security. Thank you for staying with us. 2 months after Israeli and American delegations flew to Abu Dhabi on the first flight direct from Tel Aviv, we had the chance to join the first Israeli high-tech delegation to the UAE to discuss future collaboration and investment opportunities with local ministers and high-tech entrepreneurs. The delegation was led by Jerusalem Ventures Partners, JVP, founded by former Israeli lawmaker Dr. Erel Margalit. I sat down with him in Dubai for a brief chat. Here is our interview. Erel Margalit, founder and CEO of JVP and Margalit Startup City. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for being here.
So first Israeli high-tech mission to Dubai. What for?
Israel always creates large companies by coming to other parts of the world. It's North America, it's Europe, it's Asia. And I think that for us, it's, first of all, on a personal level, exciting that this region is opening. And Dubai and Abu Dhabi are one of the most important places for the region at large, not just internally. And I think that Israelis are extremely interested in connecting around technology, around food, around agriculture, around healthcare. And so the CEOs, our CEOs, were excited to come here.
You brought here over 10 CEOs of the companies that you invest in which fields and what exactly do you do?
So we've been working here for a few years quietly. And we've been doing large deals in cybersecurity, in fintech, in insurtech. We're beginning to do more deals in food tech and agrotech, and this is exciting. We like to connect to some of the missions that the UAE, Dubai, Abu Dhabi have themselves, both in terms of creating innovation centers and creating centers of excellence around the world. And what we're doing in Margalit Startup City is connecting, just like we connected to New York and we built the Center for Cyber in the world, just like we connected to other places in Israel. Here, there's a real chance of doing something extraordinary together around insurtech, fintech, and the artificial intelligence that Israel can bring to some of these topics. Cybersecurity is a big field because everybody's attacking everyone these days and they need protection.
You know, we're both veterans of the peace with Egypt and Jordan. And regarding those peace accords, it was one step ahead and 2 steps back, and it was very fragile all along the way up till now. Here it seems like everybody loves us. Everybody is looking forward to talk to us. It's open from the first second.
We need to be ambitious, but modest. We need to speak, but perhaps more importantly, we need to listen. Because the Emiratis are embarking on very large projects. This city of Dubai was built over the last few years in such a big way. So the level of ingenuity, innovation, entrepreneurship that the Emiratis bring is just as impressive as the Israelis. And we need to find a place where we meet and build great things together. And the exciting thing is that I think that now, in partnering with the UAE, Israel can work together in Egypt, in Jordan, in Casablanca and Morocco, in different areas around the region where we can embark on things that could bring innovation to the.
You've been saying that Israel is coming over, should be modest, should listen and not talk, should be patient in a way, and all of these are very non-Israeli.
I know. So we need to grow up. You know, we're dealing in Israel with second-generation entrepreneurs. The first generations were running for an exit. The second and third generations were building together large international companies. And when you build a large company, you need to be ambitious but modest. You need to partner. And I think that you're seeing here a lot of the CEOs that came with us are companies with 50, 60, $40 million of revenues. They want to reach 200, 300, $400 million of revenues, and they need to partner with this region because the entire Arab region is ripe for business, and the UAE is the gateway for many of us if we work correctly.
The locals are looking to buy or to invest in Israeli companies? I mean, you will find here investors or you will find here clients, or maybe both?
I think we want to find Innovators. First, we like a society of innovators. We like to find investors. We like to find partners, and we like to do things together. Because if a chickpea protein company, InnovaPro, is coming here in order to change the world of vegan yogurts and products, and there's a great capability here for both manufacturing and bringing added value, we can take this company much faster to the world and work together on this, and this could become something much larger.
You've mentioned the COVID, which changes everything. I mean, we've been flying over, we've been tested at the airport, and you see everybody here maneuvering under the rules of the COVID-19. How complicated it is to do business in these circumstances, because it is more complicated. You've been used to fly over all the time, and currently, you know, each person is stuck generally in his own birthplace or home place.
You know, we opened up our International Cyber Center in Margalit, Startup City, New York. Nobody believed that we can bring 28 companies to operate. We did. In Israel, the high-tech sector, even though we had challenges, the high-tech sector is open. Here, they're open carefully, and we have many meetings. We have some of the meetings needs larger spaces, which is fine with us. And the world is undergoing challenges. But when there's a challenge, if you move, you find yourself doing things where others are still locked at home.
You've been touching the COVID and the Israel economic situation. You've been a member of the Knesset. You're one of the biggest entrepreneurs in Israel, so you know the situation very well. The high tech has been the engine of the Israeli economy for the past few years. Can it remain as such, looking at you know, the Israeli economical situation currently and the big hole that we're all stuck in, worldwide and in Israel?
Israel's economy needs management, but it has some of the biggest opportunities, because the world after COVID needs a revolution in healthcare, so to be able to give care from afar. Israel can do it, but it needs an initiative. It needs help in food security, agrotech, because water are scarce commodity, and Israel can embark on this. And then technology. The world needs technology in order to cope when you work from afar. So if we take these themes and invest in these themes in Israel, not only in the private sector, but also public-private investments, like they do here, I think we have a big chance. But I also think that there's a lot of mismanagement around small businesses, around the ability to give the incentives, around the fact that we're not coming up with a budget for the country, around different issues, and what I call the government to do, what I call the private sector to do. Let's plan, because the world is moving forward. We can be, we can be leaders in different initiatives around the world, but we need to be able to plan, to move, and to take initiatives. Right now, the private sector in Israel and the high-tech sector is very proactive. We suggest that the government follows.
What you're saying more interestingly than that is that we Israelis are used to go around the world and think that we should teach everyone, whereas we come here and there's a lot to study.
The trade in Dubai and Abu Dhabi is 5 times more than in Israel, even though we're the same size of a country. Let's remember that. The high-tech sector in Israel is very developed, and the innovation is very developed. So you have the UAE, which is really strong in trade, a financial center. You have Israel, which is really strong in technology, and each country wants to embark on 3 or 4 big things. If we listen to each other, we understand that each of us has its own leadership, we can create great things. If we come feeling like we know it all, it's going to be a short romance.
I want to touch one issue that you've been dealing with in the past, which is defense. I mean, you're here and you're doing business, but you know, in the background is the arms deal between the Emiratis and the US. Looking at it from Israel, how do you see it?
Just like Israel needs to work with the moderate countries on the economy and cooperation, there needs to be an understanding that we live in the Middle East, we're not in Canada. And so we need a strong defense strategy and a strong defense alliance between the moderate countries. And when you have the threat from Iran, the threat from the ISIS, the threat from the extremists, Israel, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and some of the Sunni countries need to be able to work together. And so when we work together, we need to cooperate around cyber and around sort of regional defense. You need to go after the extremists and work together with the moderates. So I actually think that security is a big part of the issue. If we want the Middle East to move forward, people need to be safe.
But what you're saying, you're not expressing those words, I'll use mine, is to create some kind of Mediterranean NATO.
The Mediterranean Innovation and Security Alliance. Absolutely. This is something that the moderates need to wake up and work together. Countries cannot take on extremists on their own because extremists know no border. They know no border on cyber. They know no border when they smuggle. And, you know, the seas are open. So I think that if we work together, we can put a stop to much of the attacks. This country, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, a variety of additional countries in the region are being attacked every day in what's in the new Cold War, which is the cyber war, both by countries and by organizations.
Let's call it by name, extreme Sunnis, Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and Iran.
Exactly.
Extreme Shiite, which are our enemies as well.
Exactly. Iran has 11 corporations underneath the regime that are attacking the oil refineries, the banks, the insurance companies, the utilities, and on some of these issues we can work together. So a strong hand against the extremists and an open hand, Khamsa, as we say, in order to embrace the kind of initiatives that we need. Because just like there's innovation in the region, there's a lot of hunger in the region. People need food, people need healthcare, people need to be able to have jobs, and we can work on it together if we think about it not only from a profit standpoint, but also from a social profit, impact. And actually, that's what I liked about the Emiratis that I met the most.
How fascinating it is, you know, to come to a place that probably you thought that you'll never visit, being half an hour flight from Iran, looking over, you know, to this new world and those new opportunities for you personally and professionally.
So it's very moving. To me, it's the next chapter for Israel. The ability to come to a country where we can work on innovation together, where we can connect on a personal level, where what we do on the business sense and create trust has meaning on the human level. That's where I see the future of my country. That's where I see the future of Israel. And I think that the region is ready for the next step as well. And I think that we can be a part of it. And it's very moving, and I know that many of my friends will follow and come over. And as I said, let's listen as much as we talk.
Erel Margalit, thank you very much for
Thank you.
joining me.
Thanks, Yoav.